Put your hand up if you are trying to gain muscle right now. Okay, put your hand up, and it can be some of the same people if you're trying to get your body fat down and you're still trying to gain some muscle. So that's pretty much every single kid has put their hand up now, yes? There's 4 things which, again, regardless of whether you're looking to lose body fat at the same time or you're not, there's 4 things that you need to be doing if you want to be putting on some size. Who can have a guess of what one of those 4 things are?
Diet.
Yes, you want to expand on that a little bit? Okay, all right, that's actually like point number 4. No, it's point number 2. Calorie surplus. What does a calorie surplus mean?
When you're eating more calories than what your body needs.
That's right. Okay, how do we figure out to get to that point? How do we figure out what a surplus is for us? Anyone? This is when I would expect, the morning boys to be putting their hands up.
Try when you're like certain calories that increases by a couple hundred every week or so.
Yeah, and how do we do that? And how do we know?
By skin fold and weighing consistently checking your weight.
Yep, and how do we know how many calories we're consuming?
By tracking it. Tracking it in your app.
By tracking them. Okay, so who here isn't using MyFitnessPal? So there's not a single person I can have a look on their phone and they won't have it on there?
We don't mean just fill it in. Who's actually using it?
All right, we'll flip the question. Who is using MyFitnessPal here? I should see every hand. Where's your hand? Sort of. What about you two? Where's your hands? You haven't been using it? I think we're going to have some wheel spins coming up after this one. All right, so if you want to gain lean tissue, we do need to have a calorie surplus, yes? Yes? Yeah, all right. Now, the way to find that out is, let's say that you get MyFitnessPal, you track 2,500 calories, you eat 2,500 calories, you weigh yourself every single day, so you get up, go to the bathroom, step on the scales, whatever number it is, you write it down in notes on your phone, you write the date and write the weight down, yes? And then you keep doing that, you get into the habit of doing that every single day. We track on 2,500 calories, then at the end of the week we look, okay, is my weight up, is my weight down, is my weight the same? If it's gone up, you're in a surplus. If it's gone down, you're in a what? Deficit. You're in a deficit. If it stayed the same, then we need to increase the calories. Does that make sense? All right, so if we want to be gaining muscle, it's got to come from somewhere. You do need to be consuming calories. Now, what else do you need to be consuming? Protein. Number 4. How much protein do we need to be consuming? What's the minimum? 2 grams per kilo of body weight. Now, if I eat 100 grams of chicken breast, is that 100 grams of protein? No. I hope no one was thinking yes, because that's probably why you're not gaining any muscle. Okay, so when you put it in the app, it will tell you how much is in it, but you're looking at roughly 20-25%. Any meat protein is going to have around about 20 to 25% protein of the calories. Does that make sense? All right. What else do we need to be doing if we want to be... Because if we just do these 2 things on their own, what's going to happen to our physique? Is it going to get better or is it going to get worse? Why?
Not training.
Yeah, okay, that's right. We're just going to get fat. Okay, and a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, particularly they get to 13, 14, 15, and someone says to them, you're not big enough. And so what do? They just start eating. You know, the seafood diet. They see food and they eat it. They go Macca's, KFC, they do whatever. This is like the Khaled diet. And then they just get fat. And then they come to us and then we've got to pull all the fat off before we can get them going the right direction again. So what are the 2 things that we need to be lifting weights, right? And this brings us to the biggest thing that I see, that Nate sees, Chris sees, all the boys, Cal's sick by the way, he's got the flu, that's why he's not here. Every single one of you in here, we've looked at some point, okay, there's one person I can think of who this has never been the case for, literally only one. But every single one of you at some point you're lifting, we write 12 reps, you do 12 reps, you put the weight down, you could have done 15, you could have done 16. Sometimes I've seen boys in here that could have done 25, but because the thing says 12, there's 12 and they put it down, okay? You are not going to stimulate any hypertrophy. You must train to exhaustion. Do we understand that? When you're lifting, you've got to get to that point where you can't do any more. It's what we call technical failure, exhaustion. It's actually the most important thing to stimulate muscle growth is you've got to train. Now, we're talking about muscle growth. Strength is a different matter and power is a different matter. Both of those you don't necessarily need to be training to failure. In fact, you don't actually want to train to failure. Yeah, that's why I got you to do it. I wasn't sure. Exhaustion. So, if you've got 12 reps and you get to 14, what do you need to do with the weight for the next step? You need to increase the weight. If you're meant to be doing 12 reps and you get to 9, what do you do for the next step? Yeah, that's right. You drop the weight. Now, when I say train until failure, it's technical failure. It's not until you literally can't do any more reps. It's until you can't do any more reps with good technique. Does that make sense? And look, you know, I'm not here, a lot of you afternoon boys, I'm not usually here in the afternoon, but when I do pop in from time to time, the biggest mistake that I see guys making is that they are not pushing. They're doing their bench press, they get to rep 8 and they put it down. I look at them like, dude, you could have done another 6 reps. That was a wasted set. They'll have 4 sets and then they'll say something along the lines of, oh yeah, no, but it's really hard by the last one. So you've just done 3 warm-up sets, which were useless, and you've done 1 work set. Okay? You're better off busting your ass and taxing out on that first set, and then drop the weight a little bit. And if you need to, then you drop the weight. If you need to drop the weight for every set, but you're still getting to that exhaustion, to that technical failure, like I said, it's not failure where you drop the weight on your head, it's just when your form starts to break down, that's when you stop. I think Zaid's the only one I've seen who I never had to tell him to do that. Okay? A ref where sometimes he gets close to that actually, to failure. There's a bit of loco about it. The other point number 3, total training volume. What does that mean? Mitch, you're sitting all quiet over there. What does total training volume mean?
How much training you're doing?
Kind of, but in we're talking obviously in regards to resistance training.
So like how many sets you do?
Sets is part of it. What else?
Exercise.
Yeah, sets times reps times the load that you lift. Okay, so let's write under here, sets times reps times load. So what that means is, let's say Isaac comes into the gym and he's doing legs, okay? He's doing squats. Let's say he's doing 3 sets of 10 with 100 kilos. What's that, 300 kilos? 10 reps at 100 kilos is a ton. He's done 3 ton, right? That means in his next leg program, it needs to go up from 3 ton to 3,200 kilos, or to 34 or 35 or 38 or 4,000. Does that make sense? This is something I want you guys to pay attention to when you're training. You sit there and you do the math, and that should give you an idea, look, I'm probably going a little bit soft on this. Does that make sense? Because if the volume doesn't go up, the body's not being stimulated sufficiently. Okay, so number 1, training to exhaustion. It means whatever rep range is written down for you to be doing in that program, you should fail 1 rep before it or 1 rep after it. If it's 8 reps, you should be failing at 7, 8 or 9. If you're going to 10 or more, the weight is too light. Now, don't just go to 10 and then stop. Oh, okay, look, yeah, the weight's too light. I'll do the next set. Max out that set. Keep going until you can't do anymore. And then for the next set, increase the weight. Does that make sense? Because, you know, the one resource we've got a limited amount of is time. When you're in the gym, you can't waste it on garbage sets. Okay, that will make a big difference between whether you're improving at the rate you should be or whether you're not. Does that make sense? So train to exhaustion, whatever the target rep range, fail 1 rep before or 1 rep after. You want to train until technical failure, which is when your form starts to break down. Get a spotter with you when you need it on those dangerous lifts. Obviously, a pull down's not really going to be an issue, or a chin up, but if you're underneath, if you're squatting or if you're doing any kind of pressing movement, get someone to spot you. But does that make sense? We've got to train into exhaustion. Don't waste your time and just go through the motions. It doesn't do anything. Like, it literally doesn't do anything. It's just a waste of your time. Calorie surplus. You need to figure out where your balance is. You need to be eating above that. Now, eating above it means 200 to 300 calories per day above that. If your balance is 3,000, eat at 3,300. What will happen over time is your metabolic rate will speed up. Perfect example over here. And then you'll need to go to 36. And then you'll need to go to 4. And then you'll need to go to... Is Joey here? What are you on? You on 10? 9,000, 10,000 calories a day. And there's not much of him. Okay? I know there's other guys that are like on 1800 and they're like, what the hell, bro? It is what it is. Everyone's genetics are very different. And you can't just, there's calculators that you can put your age, sex, height, weight into. Those things are not particularly accurate, okay? What is accurate is tracking your food and seeing what happens with the scales, seeing what happens with the skin folds. Does that make sense? Yes? So, we need to be in a surplus. Total training volume, we talked about, this needs to be going up, program to program, even session to session. If you come in and you're like, okay, I got 4 sets of 8 out on whatever this, and I did 80, 80, and then 75 kilos. Next time you come in, beat it. If you're going to get 3 sets out at 80 and then 1 at 75. Then the next time you get 1 out at 82, 2 at 80, and 1 at 77. You've got, every time you come in, don't just, this is what I did last time. Sometimes I'll flip open a folder, and you've done the same weight for the last 4 sessions. You're kidding yourself and you're having a bludge. You're wasting your time. You're wasting our coach's time. You're taking up the spot of someone in the program who could actually be having a dig, and you're wasting your parents' money. Now, you can get crazy good results if you do this. You can beat kids with way more ability if you do it properly. Because, look, back when I was your age, you come home, you get off the bus. The talented kids, they get off the bus at 3:30. They would go and kick the ball around until 6:30 when the sun went down. That's in summer, they'd be out until 8. All the training I can do is very, very hard for me to be able to compete with those guys. They're coming home now, and they're either getting on their phone or they're getting on their PlayStation. You can beat them. You've just got to do this, do it for long enough, and do it the right way. If you don't do it the right way, it's not going to work. And you'll be like, I tried lifting, it doesn't work. It works. We've had people with rubbish genetics. Again, he gained over 20 kilos of muscle from the age of 15. By doing it properly, by training hard, and by eating. He was like Joey. He was up to like 10,000 calories of food. He was taking. You had like coolers into school.
Kilos per day bonus every day for 2.5 years. Yeah,
plus all the other food as well. And that's what you got to like. A lot of people are, bro, I don't want to do that. You can get the result if you're willing to go through what you need to go through. Does that make sense? And then obviously we need to be getting protein in.